I suppose we'll move on to, I suppose, something that we never really wanted to talk about, and we certainly never really want to talk about these topics when they happen. I suppose we will discuss the games briefly, like there were 3 Leinster club championship matches, and maybe I'll run through, who scored and the talking points and everything else. But there was something that happened at full time between Tulamore and Summerhill in the Leinster club championship in Tulamore that very much overshadowed the entire proceedings, really. From my understanding, I didn't see the game, but from my understanding, there was a call at the end by the referee. He was apparently, I don't know, some people were saying he called a penalty and then changed his mind or something like that, some sort of confusion. But what followed afterwards, unfortunately, at full time, is not what you want to see in Gaelic football. And I actually have the video here, so maybe we'll just have a quick look at it and then we'll discuss it after.
It was a dreadful way for the Tulamore players to be told they were getting a penalty and then told it wasn't a penalty. It's inexcusable, really. Oh. And there's a bit of argy-bargy going on out there.
So the referee has ended up on the ground, or is it the linesman? There's one of the match officials that has ended up on the ground, and whatever people make.
Crazy stuff there. I mean, what was your reaction? Seeing that, I mean, it just seems to be it's just a regular occurrence at this stage, isn't it? It's just happening every week. I mean, fans are fighting on the sidelines. We're seeing, things going on between players. I don't know if it's being recorded more nowadays, and that's the reason why we're seeing it more. I don't know if it's a reflection on the way society is at the moment. I don't know what it is, but what was your take on it?
My initial reaction when I saw it, I actually was at a club game myself. My club were in a junior game at Cork, but I only saw the video actually when I came off the pitch and looked at the video. And my instant reaction to it was disgusted, disgraceful, all them words. Doesn't matter. And the same with I think you remember this as well with the Montbellion Moylock players attacking the referee at the end of the game as well against Roscommon champions a few seasons ago, and that was disgrace. Padraig Pearson, that was disgraceful in its own right. But for a fan to come onto the pitch and do that to a referee, I mean, it's just no matter what the decision. I don't care what the decision is at the end of the game. You do not assault a referee at the end of the game. Simple as. It should be simple in a society like this that you do not go onto a pitch and assault a referee. Look, examples in general over the last few weeks with other sports. You look at the Rugby World Cup, and this is where I praise the Rugby World Cup, because you look at the players when they go off for a yellow card or a red card, what the players actually do, and the fans would have the same kind of temperament. They go to the referee, they'd say, "Oh, sorry, ref, sorry, the player injured," and walk off the pitch, gracefully. But in this society with GA, there's some tendency for fans and managers and players to attack an individual. And it's disgraceful. It's just, it irks me, to be honest with you. And what irks me even more, actually, there's some people, that I see online or I know at matches and whatever, they say, "Oh, this is disgraceful what happens to a referee," and then they call him, F words or B words or whatever during the game, and intense violence and things like that in the game towards the referee. I mean, it's really, really poor. And I think I go back to the comments that you and Seamus and John and all the content creators in Gaelic Games have made over the past few seasons. And there was an incident last year, and Seamus mentioned this in his TikTok video on O'Clare. There was an incident last year where a fella in the Roscommon Championship got literally knocked out. Like, this is the society we live in now. And a player, a referee doing his job, getting hit from behind. He was just walking off the pitch like a normal human being. And then some idiot, comes behind him and smacks him. The amount of shock he must have gone through afterwards, the referee, I think it was, what's his name? I think it's Barry Tierney is the name of the referee. The amount of shock he went through at the end of the game. It's ridiculous, really. And maybe it's videos online. Maybe it is. I think it is anyway. You look at the stuff with, I think it's Oliver de Balla and Nate Baroque last year in the Intermediate Hurling Championship, where actually a brawl escalated into the stands. This is the society we live in now. And it's disgraceful. It really is. And I hope the GA do something about this now. No petty bans or whatever. Ban this guy for life. Or a substantial amount of time. It's ridiculous that this is still happening. But Seamus again, Seamus Brady made a very good point about this. There's going to be some instances where the stewards wouldn't know who the guy is walking through the gates as well. So how on earth can you ban these guys, these idiots, from walking through the gates of a GA again? How? Simple as. And it's ridiculous, really. You know, it's really, really poor, to be honest with you. And it's a shame, Aaron. And I read one of your tweets yesterday, and I completely agree with you when you say this. It's only when something tragic happens, and again, God forbid, something tragic happens in a game before the GA actually take their finger out and solve this issue. Because it's a disgrace, it really is. And I feel for the referee today who got the shock of his life yesterday, and I hope he's okay after the incident, and I hope that guy who assaulted him gets banned for life. Simple as.
Absolutely. Yeah, Keane was saying here, no wonder why referees are stepping away from refereeing matches in large numbers. A lengthy ban for this individual is a must. And yeah, like what you were saying there, like I put something out on TikTok earlier and everything else, just sort of talking about the issue and everything else. And plenty of comments were saying like the referee, you know, it was bizarre comments really. Some people saying the referee deserved it, he made a terrible call and everything else. And I just think regardless of the decision that the referee does, like if he makes a horrendous decision, you know, that does not warrant assault. Do you know what I mean? Like that's, and I think for people who think that, like they obviously, you know, you must wonder what their upbringing is. Do you know what I mean? If they think that's acceptable, like, and yeah, like some of the reactions been surprising. Like I seen Colin Parkinson even say it was harmless enough, which again I disagree with. Like the worst time ever you can attack, you know, you can push someone or attack someone is when they don't see it coming, when they have their back turned. Because when your back's turned and you're walking normally, you know, like you're not expecting, you know, your body isn't ready for that. And if you actually look at the incident, some people are saying like, oh, he threw himself to the ground and different things like that. And the way he fell, like the way he probably fell was because he wasn't expecting it, you know. And it's like anything. It's like if you're walking down the street, if you're walking home from work, going to get the bus, or, you know, like walking back to your house and someone comes up and pushes you without you expecting it, so like it's, yeah, it is disgraceful, and lifetime bans I think definitely need to be issued out. And even something I was thinking of, and I know this might be a little bit far-fetched and a little bit harsh, but when a lot of these incidences were happening, like back in, you know, the 70s and 80s in soccer and English football, and I know like some very, very tragic things obviously happened there, but clubs were punished. Clubs were kicked out of European competition. Clubs were kicked out of, you know, lots of stuff. And I'm not saying, obviously, what happened then and what's happening now is obviously not the same. But I just think maybe if there were some punishment given to clubs, you know, play behind closed doors or something like that, because that will stop fans. Fans won't do that, and then clubs will be like, you know, we can't have this. And you'd hate for anyone to be the example. Do you know what I mean? Because this is happening left, right, and centre. But yeah, it's hard to really know what the solution is because, as you said, it's so hard to police. And yeah, I think the GA need to come out and start making statements on this, though, I think. And I think that's the problem. They don't seem to be. They just seem to ignore it.
They're just sitting back. And that's the honest thing about it, Aaron. And a few points on this. Even with remember I know this isn't the fan or anything, but Rian O'Neill, brilliant player and all that. But his tackle on, I think it was Michael O'Neill from Tyrone in the championship earlier in the year, was given us a straight red and he would have been suspended. The fact that me, you, Seamus, John, anybody in the GA circle, we're talking about it being rescinded probably epitomises what society we live in now. Like, I think the GA are just too lenient on individuals. Like, they're saying, oh, it'll affect his performance on the pitch and it will, you know, him missing an all-Ireland final or missing a club quarter final is an absolute disgrace. And, you know, it's the livelihood of the GA and things like that. The guy committed a ridiculous, you know, he hit a fella at the back of the head or stamped on somebody or whatever. It needs to be punished. Simple as that. You know, it really, I don't think it's that hard for the GA to police. And I know people would say, "Oh, Tulamore, we don't deserve this," and things like that. Maybe what you're saying there, maybe we'll police it better. Maybe we'll get a stop to this sort of behaviour going on, and it will stop these sort of idiots. It'll make them think this is wrong. But the fact that GA keep ignoring it and they don't put out statements, the GA fans will do it more and more and more and more. And it will get to a point, as you mentioned in your tweet yesterday, until something tragic happens. And we don't want that. We really don't want that in our society. And another thing which Colin Parkinson and a lot of people saying, "Oh, he went down too easily," and the referee, it went down too easily when you're getting hit in the back of the head. Come on now. Come on. Seriously. If your person did that on the streets, on Dublin streets or Cork streets or Limerick streets, the guy is getting jail time. But if he does it on a GA pitch, no punishment. And I mean, it's ridiculous in its own right. And as well as that, the referee's decision shouldn't play into this. And I've said this before with the Montbelly Moylock incident 2 years ago. A referee's decision, look, it's a split-second decision. If he gets it wrong, look, it's human error. Simple as that. And people will go back to all, a lot of Liverpool fans were going on about replay and things. I remember that incident with Liverpool and Tottenham a few weeks ago with VAR. But the difference of that is, one, they had video assistant referees there. So they didn't have split-second decisions. They had to look at it on monitors and things like that. And number two, them referees are getting paid. GA referees are doing it on a voluntary basis. They're taking time out of their day to referee a 15-on-15 match. And what's the thanks they get for that? Getting beds off the back of the head from a ridiculous individual. And it's just, it's sad really, that this keeps continuing. I hope it stops. Seamus is probably the same. John's the same. You're the same. We all want this to stop. But for this to stop, the GA have to pull their finger out and do something on this. Simple as. And that's all I'll say on this story. It's ridiculous. It irks me really that this thing is still happening in a GA again.
Yeah, no, me too. No, it needs to stop. Like, this definitely does need to stop at this stage, because it's getting way too out of hand. And as you were saying, like, you know, touch wood, nothing, you know, tragic ever happens with some of these instances. But we're just playing. Well, I think that we're on a real slippery slope, I think, in many ways. But hopefully the GA can get a hold of this. I think they need to come out making statements. They need to address this type of behavior. Otherwise it will just keep happening.